Hi everyone, this is Jeff Mankowski. I'm welcoming you back to the Maverick Statistics channel. In our last video, we were learning about the Chebychev Theorem, and in this video, what we're going to do is see an example of how we can actually make the Chebychev Theorem work. So we're going to go ahead and bring an example right up here on the screen for us. And this example is taken out of Alan Bluman's book, A Step-by-Step Approach to Statistics. And the example says, the average house sells for $50,000 in a certain neighborhood with a standard deviation of $10,000. Find the range between which at least 75% of houses will sell in this market. So when we're starting to think about this, remember in statistics, keywords are really important. We're going to end up doing a lot of thinking on the exam. Oh my gosh, what formula is it given what the question says? And the words at least are really important here because, well, number one, you're going to have a few different estimation formulas by the time you're taking your first exam or even your final, wherever you are in the course. And when we get to Chebychev, we're always talking in terms of minimum percentages. So you're going to see the words at least or minimum or something similar to that. And that's like lights and sirens letting you know you're probably working on a Chebychev exercise. Okay. So once we see the question, really the only thing we can do right now is roll out our two formulas, our proportion on the left and our two pieces on the right. And if you're getting confused or you're saying like there's three different formula pieces, what do I use first? The answer is by default, you're going to end up filling it in the right way anyway. And to see how that is actually going to happen, let's start by filling out the wrong formula first. So what we'll do is we're going to go on the right side here, and it's saying to us x bar minus ks, x bar plus ks. So what we can do is we can start to plug stuff in our formula because we have values for x bar and s. We know that our x bar is 50,000, so we're going to go ahead and say 50,000, just like so, minus, and k we don't have anything for. So all we can do is leave it alone. S we know is 10,000, so let's fill that in. And not much else we can do here. The right side will fill in. It's going to be exactly the same as what we just wrote, but with a positive. So we'll say 50,000 plus K times 10,000. Let's make a set of parentheses, just like so. Okay, and if this is what we just filled in, there's really nothing else we can do at this stage because we have to have a value for K to continue. So that tells us we, at this point, really need to turn our attention to what's happening on the left side over here. And we know that this proportion is supposed to be set with 75%, the minimum on the right side. So we're going to start to work that into things. Let's begin to rewrite this thing. We're going to say 1 minus 1 over k squared. And the first trick that we're going to use, guys, is we're going to take this inequality and we're going to change it into an equal sign temporarily so it'll help us more easily execute the algebra. The second big trick we're going to do is we're going to take this 75% right here and we're going to convert it to a fraction. That'll help us a lot. So we're going to go and we're going to say 3/4. Now what we need to do is we have to rewrite with algebra the equation so we end up basically solving this thing for k. And once we have k, then we can proceed with the other side of the equation that we just abandoned on the right of the screen. So what are we going to do to get k out of here? And the answer is we have to work on getting k on the left. Everything else that's not k goes to the right side. And the first thing that's kind of sticking out at us is this 1. So what can we do to get rid of the 1? Well, what we can do is we can subtract 1 from both sides. That'll clear out the 1. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say our first act of business. We're going to put in minus 1 plus 1. All right, let's keep it in blue. Switch back to that blue color here. We're going to say minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 over k squared is equal to 3/4. And we know from algebra what we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 1. If we proceed on the left, -1 plus 1 will just give us nothing. So we get -1 over k squared is going to equal 3/4 minus 1 will be -1/4. Just like that. And let's write that without a double negative. Equals -1/4. Now we're looking pretty good here. The next problem that we're faced with is we got these negatives, and we don't want to go around estimating negative k because nobody's asking for negative percentages. So what do we do to wipe out the negative? And the answer is we can multiply the whole equation, the left and the right side, by -1, and that should handle the negatives. So on the left side, let's write -1 times everything that we just saw before, -1 over k squared, equals, and then we'll do the same thing right here to the positive side, the right side, -1, and we're going to put the rest back the same way we found it, -1 over 4. Okay, once we have that done, the left side is going to have -1s both cancel, and so will the right side. So let's walk this up higher on the screen where we have more room. We're going to end up with 1 over k squared equals 1/4. And now this is a much better version of the equation. The only problem is k is inside of a proportion now. And we have to break down those fractions somehow to get to k. So a great trick we can use would be cross multiplication. We'll say 4 equals k squared. That's multiplying the 4 right here times the 1, and the 1 times the k squared. Okay. And once we have that, obviously, we need to get rid of the k squared, and we know that a square root sign will reverse a square. So we can put in k finally equals, let's change this back to black, k equals the square root of 4 equals 2. Now, some of you might have remembered in the last video that a value of 2 standard deviations equated to a minimum percentage of 75%. But if you didn't remember that, now you know how you can use the proportion to get the percentage given the value of k. So if we have to work the proportion, we know how to do that. And our objective now is we're going to take this value for k, and we're going to substitute it in right here. And we're going to put it in on this side right over there. So let's get that in the mix, and let's start to solve this out. We're going to say our 50,000 minus k is now 50,000 minus 2 times 10,000. And over here, the same thing, 50,000 plus 2 times 10,000. Okay. And for our photo finish, if we do the mathematics on both sides, we'll stay with the same color. If we look to the left, 50,000 minus 20,000 is going to give us $30,000 right here. And on the right side, we're going to end up with $70,000. And let's circle this because this is our conclusion here. And let's just take a moment to think about what we got. What we found out is at least 3/4 of the houses are going to sell between $30,000 and $70,000. Now, let's take this to another level. Let's think about an interpretation question, like a follow-up question. So if we knew somebody that moved into that neighborhood and they told us that their real estate agent found a house for them, it's in pretty good shape, and it's going for, let's say, $29,000. Your friend says, is this a good deal? I'm trying to figure it out. Knowing that range, we can tell them that at least 3/4 of the houses are selling for a higher amount. So yeah, your real estate agent found you a really good house. Now that we know Chebychev's theorem, we have that extra intel that we can put into a useful situation. Think of like another follow-up scenario. If somebody says, my real estate agent showed me a house, and she said that this is a really great buy. I should take this right away because the house is going for $71,000. At that point, we can look at it and say, well, hold on a second here. at least 3/4 of the houses are selling for an amount below that amount. So no, your real estate agent might be trying really hard to get a commission. Maybe they're being a little bit deceptive. Okay, so in conclusion, we learned a little bit about Chebychev. We saw an example to compute through. We're going to do one more example on the next video, and I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you on the next Chebychev video.